Okay, it is 7 o'clock. We will go ahead and call our meeting to order. And are you going to do the meeting instructions?
Yes.
Thank you.
Pursuant to Governor Inslee's emergency proclamation regarding suspending certain provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act during the COVID-19 outbreak, the Toppenish City Council will not accept in-person public comments. All members of the public wanting to comment on City Council agenda items may submit written comments to include your name and address for the record in advance by email to cityclerk@cityoftoppenish.us by 4 p.m. on January 11, 2021, to be read during the meeting. Call-in information for listen-only mode is 253-215-8782, meeting ID 889-9436-7211, passcode 816904, email cityclerk@cityoftoppenish.us, or call 509-865-6754 with questions.
Thank you. And now if we'd all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America
and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty.
and justice for all.
Thank you. And if our city clerk would please do the roll call.
Mayor Oakes,
I am here.
Mayor Pro Tem Saavedra,
Present.
Councilmember Belton, Councilmember Seha, Councilmember Duval,
Here.
Councilmember Garcia,
Here.
Councilmember Jimenez.
Present.
Let the record show we do have a quorum. Councilmember Belton is absent and Councilmember Seha is absent. The city did receive a call from Councilmember Belton of his absence.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, so I would make a motion to go ahead and excuse Councilmember Belton from tonight's meeting since he called in and followed the procedures.
No,
I'll second that.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Jimenez and seconded by Councilwoman Duval to excuse Councilman Belton for calling in and saying he wouldn't be here tonight. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, we will move on to item 3, approve the agenda for tonight.
So moved.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay. I thought I heard
I'll
Claire.
second it.
Yeah, I thought I heard Claire there first, but it's all good.
Oh, I don't know.
Doesn't
All
matter.
motion on the floor from Mayor Pro Tem Saavedra and seconded by Councilman Garcia to approve tonight's agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we will move on to item 4, the proclamation. As we prepare to observe the Martin Luther King Jr. federal holiday, we reflect on the history of civil rights in America and honor Dr. King for the power of his intellect, the truth of his words, and the example of his courage. Dr. King called on our nation to ensure equal justice under the law and uphold our founding ideal of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all people. Only when our children are free to pursue their full measures of success, unhindered by the color of their skin, their gender, and the faith in their hearts, the people they love, or the fortune of their birth, we will have reached our destination. Dr. King believed that all people are made in God's image and created equal. He's dedicated his life to empowering the people and that challenged them to lift up their neighbors and communities. He encouraged Americans to look past their differences and refuse the rest until our nation's fulfilled its pledge of liberty and justice for all. Today, let us ask ourselves what Dr. King believed to be life's most urgent and present question. What am I doing for others? Now, therefore, the city of Toppenish does hereby proclaim the week of January 18th, 2021 through January 24th, 2021 as Martin Luther King Jr. Week. And we encourage all citizens to acknowledge Martin Luther King Jr. and the principles for which he fought and died. So, with that being said, we will move on to item 5. I don't know if anybody had anything to comment on the proclamation, but
Mayor,
yes.
I'd like to share that the Martin Luther Peace Drive will be on Monday, of course, January 18th at approximately 9:30. Vehicles will gather at the middle school parking lot, and the drive will start at approximately 10 o'clock a.m. Should last about hour and a half, plus or minus. There's about 4 miles of a route that we'll be driving. The parade route or the drive route will start at the middle school. They'll exit onto Franklin Avenue, then onto North Fur, down to Soton Avenue, and then on to South Toppenish Avenue, where they'll cross the railroad tracks and go all the way up to West First, and then to Bolin Avenue. Then they'll take a left on Bolin and go down to West 4th Avenue, and then they'll go all the way down to Division Avenue, where they'll come back to East Toppenish Ave. Then they'll take a left, go back over the tracks, drive all the way out to L Street, take a left on L, and then take another left on Lincoln and come back up. And then I think they turn on Date, I believe, and then end up back at the middle school. So that's the 4-mile route that they'll be doing. Public Works will be present for any weather issues that we may have, because it is winter. And we'll have a police officer there to aid if we need them, as well as the fire department will be there with with a fire truck to bring up the rear of the parade to kind of guard the rear of the parade. So remember, that's Monday. Basically start at 10 o'clock. The drive will start at 10 o'clock at the Toppenish Middle School.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Now we'll move on to item 5. The advanced public comments received by 4 p.m. on January 11th, 2021 to be read by staff at the meeting. City Clerk Rojas.
Mayor, let the record show the city did not receive public comment by the stated deadline. And I would like to note that I did receive an email from Councilmember Seha indicating that he is being called over for work, so he will not be able to attend tonight.
Do we make the motion to excuse his absence at this time? Yes, I would need it now.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Jimenez and seconded by Councilwoman Duvall to excuse Councilman Seha being called to work tonight. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, we will move on to the consent agenda.
Thank you.
All matters on the consent agenda have been provided to each council member for review and are considered to be routine or have been previously discussed and will be adopted by one motion and vote without discussion. However, if a council member desires, any item on this agenda will be discussed before any action is taken on it. Item 6A, approve the minutes of the December 14th regular council meeting. Item 6B, approve minutes of the January 4th, 2021 study session. Item 6C, approve payroll checks numbered 35125 through 35134 and 35137 through 35162, and the electronic transfer in the total amount of $248,859.90 dated December 21st, 2020, and void check numbers 35135 and 35136. Item 6D, approve payroll checks numbered 35163 through 35175 and the electronic transfer in the total amount of $159,370.33 dated January 6th, 2021. 6E, approve claim check numbers 93034 through 93083 and the electronic transfer in the total amount of $239,726.07 dated December 28th, 2020, and void check number 90598. 6F, approve claims check numbered 93084 through 93132 and the electronic transfer in the total amount of $107,195.21 dated December 31st, 2020 for the period 13.1. Item 6G, approve claims check numbered 93133 through 93159 and EFTAP 2021 and the electronic transfer in the total amount of $371,642.61 dated January 11th, 2021. I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda in its entirety.
I'll second that.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor from Mayor Pro Tem Saavedra and seconded by Councilman Garcia to approve the consent agenda in its entirety. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
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 Aye. Any
opposed? Hearing none, we move on to new business. Item A, 7A, AB 21-001, ordinance 2021-01, amending chapter 5.65 of the Toppenish Municipal Code. City Manager Hoyt.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. This update to Chapter 5.65 of the Municipal Code deals with permitting for activities. I would defer to Victor Scholl, our permit coordinator, for presentation.
Thank you, Lance. Mr. Mayor and Council, good evening. I'm Victor Shaw, permit coordinator for the City of Toppenish. As you know, under normal times, non-COVID times, the City of Toppenish attracts many different types of special events. Many of these events require a special event permit. These permits ensure that the event is successful and that the proper city resources are allocated to support that event. This ordinance clarifies what constitutes a special event, and that is any event held on public property, any event held on private property that has an open invitation to the public, and any event held on private property where there is a private invitation of 100 or more. This ordinance also consolidates the type of events that are exempt from a special permit into one code section, making it easier to understand. These include, among other things, gatherings of 30 or fewer people in a city park. Those are exempt from a special event permit. And temporary sales by businesses, like sidewalk sales or grand opening sales. And finally, this ordinance consolidates the application requirements into one section in the Toppenish Municipal Code. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Victor, I have a question, and that was on the special event, on the permit. You talked about how if a member of the community has a gathering of 30 people or less and it's open to the public, they would not need a permit if it's less than 30. But it would need a permit if it was more than 30.
If it's a special event in a gathering in a park,
Right.
and it's under 30 people, it does not need a special event permit in the park.
So then my question is, when I was reading the definition, which was on 5.65.030, the number was 100. So then I was wondering, if one says less than 30 at a park doesn't need it, why would it then jump from less than 30 to 100? When you get to 100, then you do need it.
So that difference is if it's on private property and it's by private invitation for 100 people or more. So if someone's having an event at their house,
Yeah.
and they have 100 people or more invited, then it becomes a special event because you have like parking issues, you know, that's a lot of people to have at somebody's house, for example. So that's a distinction.
Then my question is, why such a big difference from 30 all the way to 100? Because I'm thinking, wouldn't it still be a parking issue if you had like 35 or 40 people or 50 people?
Well, I think around the public park, there would be adequate parking for more people compared to, you know, a residence where you've got the driveway and then parking on the street, and you've already got people, you've already got neighbors parking there. So I think that would be a distinction.
I guess I don't think I'm making myself understood. Okay, so what I hear you say, if they're at the park and they have less than 30 people, they do not need a permit if they're at the park.
Correct.
If they are at their home and if they have 99 people, they do not need a permit.
Correct.
So if there's a parking issue at the park when there's 31 people, wouldn't there be a parking issue at someone's residence when they get to 31 people?
Well, quite possibly.
I guess I'm just happy with the number.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe that these numbers come from the RCW in providing for the special event permits. The 30 for a public park and the 100 for private property. And those are the recommendation numbers through our insurance company, who they spent a lot of time vetting this and they actually sent it to their legal to make sure that we were processing it correctly.
I'm thinking that the terminology is probably the issue, right? That it's public parking or public events versus having someone.
You muted yourself.
Uh-oh, you went mute.
Sorry, I think maybe it would be harder for the city to weigh its authority, I guess, in a private property. Unless parking became an issue, which I can totally see where Clara's coming from, but
Right. Well, and also in the park, I mean, it's not just parking around the park. If you have a larger event in the park, well, then, you know, you're filling up the trash cans and all that kind of thing as well. So it's the other usage of the park facilities or the park itself for requiring a special event over that 30 people.
mm-hmm.
And another item is, this is not new to our code. This is what our existing code says. We're just rearranging it so it's easier to read. So in section 5.65.030, it calls out the 100 people in the private facility, and then later in 5.650.0 it talks about the gatherings of 30 people or less in a park. So this is, we're not changing what's already in the code, we're just rearranging the placement of the requirements so that they're all together and not spread
That's
out.
correct. That's correct, Debbie.
Since we are changing it, so we can question it, even though that might be the
Sure.
recommendation.
Sure, yeah.
Mhm.
Question it, because I know that in the summer, which this is usually when this starts happening, is when the gatherings come. And in the summer, that happens to be also when the city council starts getting complaints about everybody's always parking in my parking space. They're throwing the garbage in my garbage can, where they're doing this and that. So I'm thinking, well, if you're gonna change it because you're gonna rearrange it, this might be the time that we might want to look at the numbers.
Mhm.
This is just recommended. They're not necessarily set in law.
Right, and we can certainly come back with another number after talking with WCIA and checking what RCW says about that, and see if we can bring that 100 down. Is that would be the recommendation of council, that to bring that 100 down to a lower number? Is that what we're looking at?
That's
You
what
know,
I'm
in the
looking at.
past, I'm not sure personally. I don't know if that's really going to be worth an issue to look into, because in the past I've been told that the city can't enforce whether people park on the road. So for example, if a house has 15 cars and they're parking off the road, that the city doesn't have any authority to make them move or to limit how many cars can be parked on city roads, because, or as long as those cars have, you know, their registration up to date and their tabs up to date. And so I think it's going to be a bigger issue if we start messing around with those numbers, even though it makes sense, Glada. I think it may be a problem once we start looking at trying to regulate public roads, which in the past I looked into. I mean, it would make sense too that people wouldn't be able to have 15 cars parked outside their house on a regular yearly basis, but you know, people are doing it, and I've been told in the past that there's nothing really that can be done about that.
I think that because of the numbers, I mean, I would like to see it brought back to see what were the numbers, but my thing is, I'm concerned more with the fact that the bigger the crowd, it would be nice for the city to know, because that way you, at least you have your police officers aware of something like that, where right now you don't. And 100 people or more is a lot to me. And so it would be nice if our police officers were at least aware of it. So I'm thinking, if it is 100, I mean, that's a lot, but I'm still thinking, even if it's 50 or something, it would be nice for the police officers to at least be aware of it so they can be alert.
Right.
That's it would be good. I mean, there's no hurry on this, there's no rush.
Sure.
It'd be nice to be educated on it. And so I would love to see the numbers and what it is that our insurance company is
Right.
saying.
Yeah, and aside from the numbers, the example you just gave is exactly why the special event permits are necessary, to notify the police and public works that, hey, there's going to be this large crowd gathering, whether it's at someone's house or in the city park. But yeah, I can definitely work with Debbie and look at those, you know, the number for that 100 for sure.
I mean, I'm only one person. There are 4 others. So you guys, I'm just
I
thinking.
agree with you, Claire. I gotta agree with you. I agree with you. That is a good question, and when you, like you said, when you're talking about 99 people parked on the street, and like you say, everybody's going to be complaining because they lost their parking place because they came home and they can't even park in their driveway because someone's blocking their driveway,
Right.
type of thing. So I can see where Claire's coming from.
Mhm.
What's really bad is when someone parks in your driveway and they have an event in a corner right there, and you go and ask whose vehicles this is, can you please move it? And it sits there for a half hour. It's like, okay, what's the person's options?
Mhm.
Call a towing truck.
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't know how much a special permit is going to prevent any of those issues, or whether people will even
Get 'em.
report special events if they're having a party at their house. And I don't know, we live in a very big Hispanic community, and you know how big those families can get, especially
Yeah,
if
that's
they're
exactly
having,
why I would.
yeah, especially if
That's
they're having,
exactly. Sorry.
yeah,
I'm thinking
no,
it's all about educating your public too. I mean,
Yeah.
if you can educate them, of course they're not gonna know. But I also think, we need to also have people aware of what's going on. The police need to be prepared. Our public work needs to be prepared because maybe they can bring out other garbage cans. That's the other thing that we get complaints about is, hey, all this garbage is over here. I'm just thinking we should be proactive instead of always having to be reactive. That's all I'm
So council, for your consideration on the agenda bill, there are two alternatives provided for a recommendation. And one of them is to not adopt or to forward to a study session for further review. So with that,
so
that's something council would make a recommendation, is to forward that to a study session for further review.
I just want to see what everybody else thinks. I don't want it just to be me. So I just think I need more information from where the numbers came from.
That's fine. I'd be willing to discuss it, but I'm more inclined to say that I don't want to limit people's personal property or private property on how many people they invite to their gatherings. I mean, when I look at my family, whenever we get together, it's close to 50 or more, and that's just immediate family. Not 100 people are going to drive their own separate cars. Several people can fit into one car, and we have to remember who our population is. We do always have a lot of people in our community that have large gatherings, and I mean, I just don't want to make people feel like they can't have these large family gatherings if that's the community we live in.
This is not about limiting anything at all. This is not about suppressing anything. It's not about limiting anything. It's just about making
It
sure.
could be.
No.
It could be because of the 45 days in advance that it does require. There is a section in there that I read that you need 45 days in advance in order to get that special permit. And a lot of times I don't plan that far ahead, and unless it's like a wedding.
Right, and that is it does say that there is an allowance for special circumstances if the staff is able to review it. So for instance, if someone were to have a full wedding at their house where there was going to be an open bar and we'd have to make sure that there were adequate facilities for restrooms, that there was, the health permit was involved, there's a liquor license, and then the police, of course, would then be wanting to see a parking plan. And so, I mean, that's a little more involved than having a graduation party for my sixth grader or, my high schooler or my kindergartner, where it is just going to be family coming for a barbecue. We would be more concerned with the parking than alcohol and loud music and so forth. So the review is going to be a little bit different. It's depending on the circumstance of what the event is going to be.
Well, I would be willing to make a motion to go ahead and have this go into a study session so we can get more information on it.
Please.
Since kind of what some of our questions are, and have it back at a study session.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Jimenez and seconded by Councilwoman Duvall to have ordinance 2021-01, amending the chapter 5.65 of the Toppenish Municipal Code to be moved to a study session for further discussion. Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, we have one nay and the rest are all ready to move forward to the study session.
Thank you, Victor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to 7B, AB 21-002, Resolution 2021-01, approve interlocal agreement with the Yakima County Technology Services. City Manager Hoyt.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll defer to Interim Chief Bardwell to speak to the interlocal agreement for technical services.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For your consideration is Agenda Bill 21-002, and it is a interlocal agreement with Yakima County Technology Services. The city currently partners with Yakima County Tech Services to provide necessary IT services to the Toppenish Police Department. The interlocal agreement outlines the services provided, which include email management, internet access, Microsoft email licenses, and email protection, as well as NetMotion support, which is a program that's necessary for our mobile data terminals to function correctly. Once signed, the interlocal agreement remains in force for a period of 1 year, and total annual cost to the city would be $5,758.77. And that is the fiscal impact to the city. So my recommendation is to approve the resolution 2021-01, authorizing City Manager Hoyt to sign the interlocal agreement with Yakima County Tech Services. Alternatives, do not adopt or forward to a study session for further review. Do you have any questions?
It's
I look-
already budget.
a good deal.
Is coming.
Did I hear a question?
That must be me.
You go right ahead.
This is already in the budget, right? Because this is something we do every year.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Nyla, did you have a question as well?
No, I just said that it looked like a good deal.
Oh, okay. So
And I want a motion that we go ahead and move forward with this.
I second that.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor from Councilmember Jimenez, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Saavedra, to adopt resolution 2021-01, approve interlocal agreement with the Yakima County Technology Services. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, we will move on to 7C, AB 21-003, Resolution 2021-02, approve contract for engineering services with HLMA. I believe our Public Works Director is going to handle this for us.
Please.
Ooh,
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Don't fall off the tower.
fancy.
Look at Nyla, he's trying to get as good as you.
Tonight for your consideration is the professional engineering services contracts. The city is in need of general professional engineering, surveying, and construction management services for various projects from time to time. The city must advertise for professional engineering services every 3 years. A statement of qualifications was published in the Sunnyside Sun on December 2nd of 2020 and December 9th of 2020. The deadline to submit a proposal was 10 a.m. on Monday, December 21st, 2020. The city did receive 4 statements of qualifications by the stated deadline of 10 a.m. on Monday, December 21st, 2020. Those were from SCJ Alliance, Gray and Osborne Incorporated, HLA Engineering and Land Survey, Inc., and TD&H Engineering. The SOQs were evaluated on December 22nd of 2020. HLA Engineering and Land Surveying, Inc., as well as Gray and Osborne, Inc., were the top 2 firms. So for Agenda Bill 21-003, it's staff's recommendation that HLA Engineering and Land Surveying, Inc. be awarded agreements for professional engineering services. Are there any questions?
So resolution 2021-02 is to approve engineering services with HLA, and resolution 2021-03 will approve contract engineering services with Gray and Osborne.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Entertain a motion.
So I motion to approve resolution 2021-02, authorizing the city manager to execute professional engineering services agreement with HLA Engineering and Land Surveying Incorporated.
Second.
Did I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Duvall, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Saavedra, to approve resolution 2021-02, approve contract for engineering services with HLMA. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, we will move on to 7D, AB 21-004, resolution 2021-03, approved contract for engineering services with GNO. Public Works Director, Rocky.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. This is the same as just before, but this recommendation is a motion to approve resolution 2021-03, authorizing the city manager to execute professional engineering services agreement with Gray and Osborne, Inc.
But Rocky, wasn't that what on that particular one? Weren't they the only ones who submitted?
No.
No, the other one.
Yes, it's the next one coming up, the train depot roof. So for,
Trained.
yes, for the professional engineering services, we had 4 qualifications submitted by the deadline. And those were SCJ Alliance, Gray and Osborne, Inc., HLA Engineering and Land Surveying, Inc., and TD&H Engineering. HLA and Gray and Osborne were the top 2 firms.
And can I just ask what made them the top 2 firms?
Well, we have a scoring sheet, and there's, I believe it's 10 items that we qualify them on. It can be anywhere from, are you within the Yakima Valley? Do you have history and knowledge of the city of Toppenish and projects? How well did they answer our statement of qualifications in their cover letter? Things like that.
Good.
Thank you.
Any other questions for it? If none, I would entertain a motion.
So moved. I'm trying to find it if you need me to read it.
Thank you.
And I would second it if you go ahead and read it for her.
Thank you. I will take care of that.
Okay.
We have a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Duvall and seconded by Councilwoman Jimenez to approve resolution 2021-03, approved contract with engineer services with Gray and Osborne. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Moving on to 7E, AB 21-005, Resolution 2021-04, Select Engineering for the Railroad Depot Roof Project. Our Public Works Director, Rocky, will fill
Good
us in.
evening again, Mayor and Council. Tonight is to select the engineer for the train depot roof rehabilitation project. Again, the city advertised for engineering services for the train depot roof rehabilitation project. A statement of qualifications was published in the Sunnyside Sun on December 2nd, 2020 and December 9th, 2020. The deadline to submit a proposal was 10 a.m. on Monday, December 21st, 2020. The city received one statement of qualifications by the stated deadline of 10 a.m. on Monday, December 21st, 2020, and that was from HLA Engineering and Land Surveying, Inc. The SOQ was evaluated on December 22nd, and the recommendation is to approve Resolution 2021-4 to select HLA Engineering and Land Surveying, Inc. for the engineering services for the train depot roof rehabilitation project. Are there any questions?
I would entertain a motion.
I motion to approve resolution 2021-04 to select HLA Engineering and Land Surveying Incorporated for engineering services for the train depot roof rehabilitation project.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Have a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Duvall and seconded by Councilman Garcia to approve Resolution 2021-04, select engineering for the railroad depot project of HLA and Land Services. I believe that was correct. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, we will move on to item 7F. Set the agenda for the February 1st, 2021 study session. City Manager Hoyt.
Thank you, Mayor. I have two items that I'd like to put on the study session agenda for your consideration. One is Yakima Valley Conference of Government was successful in getting a grant for, it's called Health Through Housing Information. The goal of the grant is to establish a resident centered regional housing plan that addresses housing issues in cities. And they've chosen Toppenish as one of their cities they would like to help. And what they like to do in the first year is survey residents to see what they would like, things that they would like to collect would be anything that's related to something like regional transit, economic development, equitable health, access to health or nutrition or education, recreational opportunities, and or employment opportunities. And so Executive Director Chris Wickerhagen could speak and about the pros for this grant and how it would help the city of Toppenish align some priorities and get some public input. So that's item number one. Number two, I would like to add into there is our police chief vacancy update. And after tonight's conversation, I think we'll postpone or put the municipal code update for the activity permits to probably March, the first the study session in March.
Sound good to everyone?
Okay.
All right.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. This time we move on to item 8, city council meeting reports and community announcements. We will start with Councilwoman Duvall.
Sure, I can go first. There is a really cool opportunity at Heritage University for people in the community. They have opened up a college level class to learn Ichiskin, um, which is the language here. And if you're interested in learning that, you can look up the Heritage University catalog. Like I said, it's free and you can learn a new language. So if you
Cool.
have time, I might look into it.
What language is that you said? You broke up a little bit.
Ichiskin.
Which is what?
I believe it's the Yakama Nation.
Okay, that's the part that didn't come through. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Yakama Nation,
I'm not sure. It's part of the Heritage University Language Center, and they are teaching Ichiskin
okay,
to the
Nice.
community.
nice.
Very good. Is that it?
Yeah.
Thank you. Councilman Garcia.
Last month I did do a couple items. I brought some 500 spoons to the shelter we had by the farm workers clinic. I brought spoons and I brought a 200 plates that they were asking for donations. So I did do that. And then a neighbor came over and asked me to install two carbon monoxide detectors and smoke detectors. And when I went into the residence to install them, she had one of it. This thing was ancient. I'd never seen one like it. And I took it down, I looked at it, and I've never seen one with lights, let alone smoke detector. And it took 4 batteries, 9-volt. I've never seen one like that.
Sounds pretty big.
Did you
So
replace
I
it, George?
installed pardon?
Did you replace it?
Yes, I replaced, she only had one that was there, and typical, we used to be on the fire department. It was hanging open, no batteries in it, but it had a place to put batteries. And so I asked her, when's the last time this thing worked? She goes, about 15 years ago.
Did she let you keep it?
I was hoping to. I was going to take it to the fire department and donate it.
Yeah,
at
that'd
some-
be kind of
yeah,
cool.
you don't-
Museum.
She said
Yeah,
she
like
was-
a museum. Yeah, a museum piece. That'd be great.
I've never seen one like that. And then I put 2 carbon monoxide detectors, one in the hallway and one in her furnace room. She has a gas heat. And then another one in her bedroom and everything. So she's very happy with that. The family was happy with that when they asked me to do it. And I was going to call the fire department. It's like, no, I'll just do it myself. It's just next door. So that's what I did.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. Councilwoman Jimenez.
Nothing for the good of the order.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Saavedra.
I have nothing to report.
And I have nothing to report either. So we'll move on to item 9, which is the city manager's report. I'm sure he's got plenty.
I've got some stuff for you. Saturday, January 9th was Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. And so, of course, we didn't get the announcement to that until late Friday, and it happened this weekend, but take an opportunity to thank our law enforcement officers when you see them. Each and every day, they put their lives on, uniforms on, and they go out and protect and serve our community. And so we very much appreciate them. This was put out by the Spokane U.S. Attorney General for the Eastern District of Washington. So we appreciate our law enforcement. And if you see an officer, tell them thank you. Send them a card or something in the mail as a thank you. So we would appreciate that. An update on the extreme weather shelter. The extreme weather shelter is currently running at a 12-hour a day shelter from 6 to 6, and it's currently open. They're hoping they have their last staff member they need to train hired. They hope to have that training done by Friday, and maybe as soon as Monday, it'll shift to a 24-hour shelter. So that would be a positive for our community. They're currently serving about 33 to 35 people a night, which is double what they did last year. And they've created 9 jobs by the opening of the extreme weather shelter. The majority of the workers are tribal members, as well as the people that are taking advantage of the extreme weather shelter. And there's going to be 2 people per shift. I think there's 2 shifts a day, so they'll be splitting those up. And if you see people walking around with a neon blue, yellow wristband, those are people that are using our weather shelter. So that kind of identify who those people are. Other good news is the Public Works office and vehicle storage area is actually is out on Ad Wednesday. That's pretty exciting to finally have that start after about 3 years of it not being there. The schedule is to award the contract probably at the February 22nd council meeting. They should start sometime in March after they get all their paperwork around, and positive schedule would be have the facility complete and Public Works back in there by December of this year. So that's all I have tonight.
Thank you, City Manager. The only thing left on the agenda here tonight is to adjourn. So.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
You too. Keep your mask on. Stay safe.
You must have a drive.
Adjourned, Mayor?
Huh?
What?
Is it official? Did you adjourn?
I didn't hear the.
Okay, there you go.
Not loud enough for you? I think I put it on the desk. I used my pen the first time.
Have a good night, everyone.
You too.
Really? Oh, well, that's good.